I'm Harvey Persons, Mayor, City of Douglasville, and I'm here today to tell you about an exciting event we recently had right here in our own city at L.W. Burnet Elementary School, which is right in the heart of downtown Douglasville. We recently had the First Lady of Georgia, the wife of our sitting governor, Nathan Deal. We had our very own First Lady of Georgia, Miss Nathan Deal, that was right here in Douglasville to kick off the reading program initiative that the governor of Georgia, Nathan Deal, has recently initiated. And that is a program that was initiated by the governor to get to younger age children to stress the importance of education and the education that you can get only by being able to read and read well. So we, the city of Douglasville, applauds the governor, first of all, on his reading initiative to help stress the importance of reading to our youth across Georgia, and we applaud the First Lady for being right here in our city to help kick off the Read initiative that the governor has established. And we watched a group of kindergartners as they were captivated. They were literally captivated by the Southern charm and the personality that the First Lady has. She's doing an excellent job in Georgia, being the First Lady, supporting our governor, and being the first-class Southern lady that we need in the governor's office. We were happy to have her. She was reading TJ's Discovery. This is a new book that is recently authored as a collaborative of some teachers in Georgia, and it's about being in the woods and the critters and the creatures that you see. Miss Deal even had, no, I'm about to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. Our city TV crew that was on site to film this great event, we're going to open up here in a minute, and you're going to get to see the reading by Miss Deal. You're going to see these. They were extremely attentive. They were well-behaved, well-mannered, and I applaud our Board of Education, our school system, for the great job that they're doing. I was able to read to a group. As a matter of fact, I told them I was just the filler. They said it was a celebrity reading. I said Miss Deal was the celebrity. I was just the filler for the program. But I was excited. I was honored and privileged to be able to be there, but more importantly, to watch our First Lady and her passion for the youth in Georgia and this reading program. So stay tuned and watch as the First Lady of Georgia, Miss Sandra Deal, reads to our kindergartners at L.W. Burnet right here in the city of Douglasville. Stay tuned. You're in for a treat.
Well, hello to you. I'm so glad to see all of you. And I'm so glad you're at school and you're learning how to read. Is that right? Yes. You're all learning how to read? Well, do you like to have stories read to you? Yes. Well, do you like to help read the stories? Yes. Because I like for you to help me by answering things as we talk about it, okay? Well, the book, this is a fairly new book. This is just the 4th time I've read it to children. But it's about camping. Do you see this? What is that? A tent. Anybody in here ever been camping before? Wow, a lot of you have been camping. That is great. Well, put your hands down. I want to ask you another question. Have you ever been on a picnic in the woods? Great. Put your hands down now. Thank you. Well, I love going on picnics, and I used to like going camping. I'm getting so I like a soft bed and a warm shower now. I don't go camping very much anymore, but we used to love to camp when my children were growing up and when I was growing up. This book is called TJ's Discovery. And TJ is going to discover something, and we're going to find out what she's going to discover. What does discover mean? What?
Means to find something
That's right, to find something. And she's going to find something. We'll figure out what she finds in a minute. All right, TJ stretched her neck to see around her classmates. Can you stretch your neck? She loved it when Mrs. Allen read the rabbit book. Do you see the little rabbit? He's little, and it's hard to see from the way back. Can you see the tiny little rabbit in our book? Why? All right, this is the question her teacher asked. Why was the baby rabbit afraid here? And she's pointing to this page where the rabbit is kind of hiding. Why would a rabbit hide, do you think? Why do you think? Well, maybe the big bad wolf, what?
Because someone coming.
It might be that it got kind of scared because somebody was coming. Yes. What do you think? Why would the rabbit be afraid?
Because they're humans and he's animal.
That's right. Animals oftentimes hide from people because they're kind of afraid of us. Are we going to hurt them?
No.
I wouldn't hurt them, but
I saw a rabbit before and he ran away from you.
that's right, because he didn't know.
That's not scary.
He didn't know who you were. Yes.
Maybe somebody tried to strike him.
Maybe somebody did at some point in time. But TJ raised her hand. She wanted to answer the question, didn't she? Just like some of you are raising your hands. And guess what she said? Guess what she thought was the reason he was hiding? He did not like the dark. Are there any of you who really love the dark? All right, put your hands down. Excuse me, put your hands down. Because sometimes we don't like being in the dark. Sometimes it makes us afraid if we don't know where we are. She said, Mrs. Allen nodded and said, exactly, it can be scary for a little animal to be in the dark forest. It can be scary for a little animal to be in a dark forest. Would it be scary for people too? Yeah, kind of. If we were in the dark forest by ourselves, we would be kind of frightened, wouldn't we? But the rabbit is in the dark forest. TJ furrowed her eyebrows. Do you know what furrowed your eyebrows means? It means looking worried. Worried. Can you look worried? Look worried at me. Kind of furrow your eyebrows and look worried. Oh, you got it good. You did a good imitation. She was going camping this weekend in the forest where it would get dark. And she wasn't so sure she wanted to do that. Mrs. Allen interrupted her thoughts, saying, but in the end, the rabbit loved the forest. Think about that this weekend and then come back and tell me why on Monday. She gave her a homework assignment. But she didn't have to write anything, did she? All she had to do was think about the rabbit and why it says, think about why the rabbit began to love the forest. He was not afraid of the forest. He loved the forest. So that's her assignment. She has to tell her teacher on when? Monday. On the bus ride home, TJ kept thinking about the forest. Does she look happy? No. She looks worried, doesn't she? She's not excited about going to the forest. What is the forest? What? What?
A place with a lot of trees. Something like the woods.
It is just a group of trees in the woods, isn't it? The forest is a group of trees. But sometimes it looks kind of dark under the trees when they're kind of crowded. And if you walk in the forest and it's a very big forest, sometimes you forget which way you came and you get lost, don't you? And the sun can't shine very well through the forest because of all the tall trees that are close together. And so it looks kind of dark in the forest sometimes. She could not see why the rabbit would ever love such a dark and scary place. You see? Well, one of the reasons the rabbit might have been afraid is because of the fox. That's a fox. The fox lives in the forest too, and maybe the rabbit was afraid of the fox. We don't know. And up in the tree there's can you tell what that is? An owl. And maybe he was afraid of the owl. At home, while this is Mom, and Dad, and Jessica packed their supplies into the car, TJ sat next to her backpack. She was reluctant to go camping. What do we mean by reluctant? Was she excited about going camping, or was she kind of nervous and not wanting to go? What do you think?
Nervous.
She was nervous. She was reluctant. She thought, was she running out to the car and jumping in the car? No, she was sitting by the wall. She had her things in her book bag. And what is that she's taking with her?
Teddy.
She's taking her teddy bear, but what is this? Do you know what that is? A flashlight, a good thing to have in the forest, isn't it? If you're going camping, it's nice to have a flashlight. But she wasn't really excited like her sister was. Her sister is helping get everything ready. She's not being so helpful. She's sort of being over there. She said, "Oh, Teddy, you are not afraid of the dark." She was glad Teddy was coming with her. How many of you have a special animal, stuffed animal, or something you sleep with at night? My grandchildren have special ones that they sleep with. So she was taking her teddy bear with her. Now they've gotten to the campsite. And it says, at the campsite, TJ and Jessica, now who was Jessica? Her sister, helped pitch the tent by pushing the poles through the loops. Now, the word pitch doesn't mean you throw it like a ball, does it? They weren't throwing it like they were throwing a ball. They were pitching the tent. They were making the tent rise up by pushing the bars through the loops. And it made it stand up. It had to have some poles to hold it up, didn't it? And they were working on that. They worked together. They were cooperating, weren't they? They were helping each other. And look what Mom and Dad were doing while they were doing the work on the tent. Mom and Dad started a campfire. Did the children start the campfire? No, because fire is dangerous and we need to be respectful. And so that's an adult thing to do. But look what Daddy did before he made the campfire. What is this around the campfire? Rocks. He made a circle of rocks so that when he started the fire, do rocks burn? Not really. They don't burn. And so the rocks would help keep the fire on the inside and not let it get out here on the grass or the dry leaves. And if it did, we could put it out maybe fast, because we don't want to catch the woods on fire, do we? Or our house or anything else. We have to be very careful with fire. And look what Mama is doing. What is she doing? She's helping by carrying. She's picked up something. What she picked up? She's picked up sticks. Did she cut down a tree? No, she didn't cut down a tree. You're not supposed to cut down trees unless something's wrong with the tree, like it's dead, and that would be something your daddy and mama would decide. And they would call somebody with equipment to come cut down the tree if it was dead and leaning toward your house or something. But did anybody have limbs that fell off the trees with the snow and the ice last week? Did you have to help pick up any limbs? I did. At my house, it made the limbs fall on the ground. And so I had to go clean up the yard. You can't cut grass if you have limbs in the way, can you? And you might fall over the limbs. And so it's a good thing to pick up the limbs. And especially since they were making a campfire, they could pick up the dead limbs and make the campfire with the dead limbs. And then let's see what else they did with that campfire. What did they do? What is that? Oh, they're roasting marshmallows on a stick. It says, that evening the family roasted marshmallows for s'mores around the campfire. Have any of you ever had a s'more? Well, do you know, they're easy to make. You have a cracker, usually a graham cracker, and then you have a piece of chocolate. And then on top of that, you put a toasted marshmallow. Or, now my mama always put a top on it. She always put another cracker on top, so it made it like a sandwich. But did you know nowadays you can make them in a microwave? You can make them in a microwave. Can't toast the marshmallow, can you? But it'll melt and make them. But maybe sometime your mama will make those. But they're so much more fun when you toast the marshmallow over the fire. But do you catch it on fire and sling the stick? No, because you might catch the woods on fire, or it might stick to somebody, it might hit somebody. We have to be very careful with our marshmallow. We turn it back and forth to get it nice and toasty brown, but we try not to catch it on fire. As the sun began to set, TJ watched the light disappear through the trees, and her stomach felt shaky and tight. Why? Why was her stomach hurting? Why?
Because she was hungry.
Well, it could have been that she was hungry, but she's been eating s'mores, so maybe she's not hungry. What else would be a reason her stomach might hurt? Why would you think?
A bad feeling.
She has a bad feeling. She's nervous. She's nervous because the light disappeared through the trees. What light was shining that's disappearing? What?
The sun.
The sun. In the evening, the sun goes down. And when it goes down, it gets dark. And she is afraid of the dark. And so she's getting nervous. That's right, it's time to sleep at night. At bedtime, TJ put on her pajamas and then asked, Mom, can we leave the lantern on, please? But, is this a lantern?
No.
Is this a lantern?
No.
Is this?
No.
Is this?
Yes.
Yes, this is a lantern. It's like a candle inside the glass. It's something that we can light and make a. It's kind of a little fire inside there, but it has glass around it, and it keeps it from catching anything else on fire. But if we dropped it, what would happen? It would break and we might get fire out. So we have to be very careful with it. So usually the mama and daddy would handle the lantern.
That's why I had a hole for it.
That's right.
Or the handle.
That's right. But she said, TJ, you don't need to be afraid. I know it's dark, but listen. The only thing out there in the woods tonight are crickets chirping. Do you know how the cricket sounds? But some of them have a sound, and sometimes they make a high-pitched sound like a violin. Like they make a very high-pitched sound because they rub their legs together and make that sound like a violin, but they also make a little jerk. Sometimes they make that sound. And owls hooting. And how do the owls sound? Woo, woo, woo. And some of them are high-pitched and some of them are low-pitched. Hoo, hoo, hoo. And whippoorwill's calling. Now, whippoorwill is a kind of bird. And the thing about a whippoorwill is it sort of says its name with its whistle. It says, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. I'm not a very good whistler, so I'll try. But he says, and you can practice, those of you, when you go home, you listen it in the evenings, and maybe you'll hear a whippoorwill, and you'll say, hey, that's a whippoorwill, because he's saying, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. And one more animal she named, and frogs croaking. Ribbit. And sometimes they say, croak, croak, croak. The old bullfrogs say croak, don't they? These are all friendly sounds. These are friendly animals she soothed. She tried to make her feel better because the sounds that she was hearing were not things to be afraid of, were they? Nope. TJ, listen, Mom was right. They were nice sounds. But still, the night was getting darker and darker. TJ squeezed Teddy tight and gulped. Maybe I could just leave my little flashlight on, TJ whispered. But what happens if you leave a flashlight on too long?
It's going to dead.
It goes dead because the batteries go bad, don't they? Or the light burns out. So it's not necessarily so good, but let's see what happens. Ah, sweetheart, Daddy reassured. You are braver than you think. Plus, let me show you something. And look what he shows her. What did he do?
Shadows.
He made shadows. Look, can you do that with hook your thumbs together and make your fingers do the wings and be an owl? Hook your thumbs together. Put your thumbs together and do your wings. And you don't even have to hook them together. You can put your thumbs side by side and move your fingers like you're making wings. And you could pretend, and you could do that even out on the playground, couldn't you? When you're out there and the sun's shining bright, you can make shadow puppets on the sidewalk or on the ground. But at night, you can make shadow puppets on the wall. When you have a light. My daughter has a dog that chases and bites the shadows. He thinks he has a playmate. There on the wall, the owl appeared. Daddy hooted, whoo, whoo. And Jessica and TJ giggled with glee. Do it again, they squealed. See, sweetie, the dark is not so bad. You can't make shadow puppets without it, Daddy said. You got to have some light to make a shadow puppet, don't you? Now it is bedtime. Are you ready to turn off your flashlight? TJ nodded. She was still a little nervous about the dark, but her mind was on the little rabbit. She wondered if there might be a nervous rabbit right here in the forest, cuddled up with its family just like her. Maybe she could even see one outside. So what do you think she did?
Go outside.
I think she might have peeked out the door. She hesitantly, did she run out the door?
No.
No, she was hesitant. She was worried, but she pulled the door back. And she looked out of the tent TJ expected the forest outside to look dark and ominous. What do you think ominous means? What? What do you think?
Nervous.
Scary, nervous, ominous, like something that might hurt you. She thought that. She was expecting that, but she found out something different. She took a deep breath. Can you take a deep breath? But she could smell the rich, damp earth. Have you ever smelled the dirt? And so it smells fresh. And the leaves and the bark from the forest. She felt a gentle breeze across her face. Do like this and see if you feel the air. And what she was feeling was the wind. But you can feel the little bit of wind your hand makes when you do like that, can't you? She heard a whippoorwill calling from far away and pictured it singing from its nest. Even though she didn't see a rabbit, she pictured the rabbit tucked in its cozy nest with its family. See the rabbit? She couldn't see it, could she? Because it was dark out there. But she knew that rabbit had found a rabbit hole or a bush to hide under, so he was comfortable. She looked up. In the dark, she could see feathery white clouds drifting slowly across the deep blue sky. What's that hiding over there behind the clouds that would peek out? The moon would peek out every once in a while, and she could see it too. With the lights off, she discovered that she could see bright, brilliant stars twinkling above the tree branches. More stars than she had ever seen before. Have any of you ever seen lots and lots and lots of stars? Hold up your hand if you've been out somewhere where you could see lots and lots of stars.
I saw a shooting star.
That's great, and you're supposed to make a wish on the shooting star, aren't you? But you know why you can't see stars a lot in the city? Why?
Because the light is
Too many lights. You have street lights and car lights, and you can't see the stars. But there are thousands of stars up in the sky. And when you're in the woods, you can see them.
I know a giant star.
Is that right? That's great. TJ smiled. The dark forest was not scary after all. Instead, it was absolutely beautiful. Because she could see all those beautiful stars. Could she see them in the light? No. Could she see them in the dark? Yes. And so the dark was really special. TJ snuggled into her sleeping bag. She had discovered why the rabbit loved the forest so much. And it turned out that she loved it too. TJ couldn't wait until Monday. What was going to happen on Monday? What? Well, they probably went home on Sunday. She had an assignment. What was her assignment?
The assignment was to tell her teacher about the rabbit.
That's right. Her assignment was to tell the teacher why the rabbit loved the forest. And now she knew why he loved the forest. And why did he love the forest? Why?
Because the girl wasn't afraid of the cricket.
That's right. They weren't afraid anymore. He wasn't afraid of the dark. He wasn't afraid of the sounds. He kind of loved the forest. It had nice smells. And it had nice sounds. And in the dark, she felt safe and good, didn't she? Because she was with her family. And they were having a nice experience together. And TJ discovered that camping could be fun and that the dark wasn't so scary after all. Well, thank you for letting me read to you. I have something else I wanted to show you. If I have time, do I have enough time? A little bit? Okay. Well, you know, I don't usually carry a book bag around with me too much, but she had a book bag and she had in it her teddy bear that she snuggled. And she packed something else. What did she pack? A flashlight. What else do you think she should have put in her bag that she would take if she were going camping? What would you take? Marshmallows might have been nice, and crackers and cookies, but you know what? You can't leave the food out because something might come and try to get the food. So it has to be in a container that's sealed. And I don't know if they would get in her book bag or not. Of course, she's going to plan to eat those marshmallows ahead of time, isn't she? But what else would you take if you were going camping and you were packing? What would you, in the back? Like, what would you take?
I would take a tent.
A tent would be a real good idea. What would you take?
You can take your backpack or a flashlight or a teddy bear.
Or what was the last one?
And then you can take your marshmallows.
Marshmallows. He's going to take. What you going to take? What would you take?
I would take my cookies.
You going to take? She's going to take cookies. What are you going to take?
I'm going to take a pet.
You pets? I don't know how good that is to go to the woods. Yes.
I would take my toys.
Your what?
My toys.
Your toys? Well, you're going to the woods. You're going to find new things to play with. You don't really need to take a lot of toys. Yes.
I'm going to put in my family.
With your family? You're going to take your family? Well, let me ask you this. Would you take something to do this? You got to take your toothbrush. You have to brush your teeth every night, and toothpaste, and what else? A what? Something spinning. Well, you could probably spit on the ground in the forest, but just so you don't spit where somebody would step in it. You would have to be careful. I don't know, but we don't spit on the sidewalk, and we don't spit we spit in the sink and wash it away. But you might need to take something to put something to drink in. What would you? Some water, a bottle to put some water in, or maybe take some water with you. Yes.
I would take a tent house.
A tent, yes. Well, I have a couple of things I wanted to see if you knew what they were, since you don't live in the forest. That's right. You might, bunny. A fox you might see in the forest. An owl. You might. They're all out at night, so you would have to look very carefully to see them because they hide in the daytime. A raccoon. And he has the sunglasses and the striped tail. And do you know that the raccoon has little fingers? Mine doesn't have little fingers, but he has little fingers. And he can wash his food. And this, do you know what this is?
A beaver.
A beaver. And he sometimes is destructive. Sometimes he chops down trees. But if he's trying to let his friends know that a person's coming around, or another animal, how does he warn his friends? He slaps the water with his tail. Can you clap your hands? That's the way it would sound when he hit the water. Well, we have some park rangers who came today, and they brought something that you might find and might see playing in the water. Do you know what this is? No? No? An otter. An otter. These these park rangers work at the park, and they have nice, safe places for you to camp. If your family decides to go camping, it might be a little safer than going just to the woods that you don't know. They have places where you can camp, and it's safe. And so, but they have animals, and lots of times they have displays.
Mm-hmm.
And what park are you with?
We are at Sweetwater Creek State Park. My name is Don Scarborough Jr. This is the park manager, David Jordan. David's holding a river otter. He was live. He's not at the moment. He was taken to a taxidermist after he had died. Some people call them stuffed animals, but we prefer the term mounted animals. We've got a museum actually full of animals like this. But more importantly, we have almost 2,500 acres of forest, just like Miss Deal was talking about, where all these animals live. We also have boating. We have lots of fishing. We have a bait shop. We have over 10 miles of hiking. We have the 5-story ruins of the New Manchester Mill, which was burned down in the Civil War. Who's been to Sweetwater Creek State Park? Could you raise your hand?
All right.
Wonderful. It's only 10 minutes away. There's a program where you can go with one of your parents to the local library in Lithia Springs or Selman Drive here in Douglasville, or the new one, and get a pass for free just with your parents' library card. Have them go in and check out this pass, which lets you go to all 63 Georgia state parks for free, up to 4 people. Also, we have a first-time campers program, which allows you to go camping. We provide everything for you, the tents, the sleeping bags, the stove, the lights, the camp chairs, the roasting forks. Remember the s'mores that you just learned about? You can make those at a very reasonable price. And it's for people who have never been camping before in a Georgia state park. So we'd really love for you to come visit. We are open every day from 7 in the morning until dark, and that's getting later than later, isn't it? Thank you. Thank you for letting us.
Well, thank you all for coming. We're glad they came. Aren't you glad they came?
Yeah.
And do you know, you are so important that the mayor came. The mayor came because he wanted to see that you...
The mayor?
Yes, he's the mayor of your city.
Let me say this. Do y'all know how special you are?
Yes.
I was asked to read. Now, can y'all keep a secret? I was asked to read, but I read to another class. But how special you are. You got the First Lady of Georgia, the wife of the governor of our great state, and she read to y'all. So y'all wouldn't rub it into that class that had to listen to me read. But that's how special y'all are, that you got to hear the First Lady read, and how important it is in her Read Across Georgia program, and how important education and learning to read is to her. And Miss Deal, you used to be a teacher, right?
I did. I used to teach 6th grade. 12-year-olds. And I loved being with the 6th grade. And one of these days, you're going to grow up and be a 6th grader. And if you know how to read really well, you'll do great when you get to 6th grade. You'll love 6th grade. And so I want you to learn how now and practice, practice, practice. Well, thank you all for letting me come and read. They have another class coming in. And so you go and practice.
And thank you for coming to
Oh,
Douglasville.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tell the governor to
Thank
say
you. I
hello.
will.
And
I
we
will.
appreciate
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.